I'm here for you, okay? Because I want you to
Yeah.
do really well.
Thank you. I do as well. That's why I'm in this program. I'll definitely shoot you a call or like a text if I ever have like some like questions or like any like if I'm having like a down moment or
It
like
could be anything. I want to help you. And I help people outside of just these one-on-one calls that we have. I'm your coach. Like I'm here to support you. So that means that the level of support that you need is need to talk every now and then. Like if you're having a moment, please just send me a text and we'll make sure that we get you back on track.
I'm super, I'm comfortable with you. I love that you make time for everyone. I think that was my biggest thing. So I was telling Jericho too, like I've sat in other master classes with high ticket sales. I've, seen what they were all about, but it's just a lot of, I feel you kind of get lost in
Oh
the
yeah.
the big group of the classroom and you're not always dealing with the same person, from what I've experienced. And I'm just like, I don't know if, I can do that. I enjoy the personal and the one-on-one and being able to answer those questions when I need it. So I think that's what drew me more towards, you and your program.
And that's why working with people individually, you have to you better be exactly who you say you are online because it's going to be real weird if people join and then all of a sudden they can tell you don't actually give a fuck about what you said. That's not going to go very well for you.
No.
That's why a lot of stuff is group and these big, huge lecture halls of things. And then it's that's cool, I guess, for maybe for some people, but I just know that if we're looking to do things in a speed-based, kind of system here where we want results quickly, I don't know any faster way to learn something than to just sit with someone one-on-one and figure out what you specifically need to work on. So now here you can see we've gotten 211 brand new jobs added in the last 7 days. So
wow.
Yeah. So, when I am, telling people we have the top recruiting agency in the industry, that's no joke at all, man. The amount of opportunities that we have coming in that are all, keep in mind, pre-vetted out and verified. There is nothing in here that you would see that isn't true, that is, kind of a junk offer, that is selling things that isn't really fulfilling on, what they have. I pay them multiple 4 figures a month. Then we do that, but it's worth it for me because it's essentially an investment that I make into my students because that's why you have this issue where you said you looked into things and a lot of programs don't help you with employment at all. And it's because to get access to stuff like this, it would cost them, thousands of dollars every month. And I guess they're just greedy. I don't know. Maybe they don't see the return on investment from that, but when I started this, I thought that was the most obvious thing.
Yeah, no, it honestly is. How are you going to ask somebody for thousands of dollars to essentially train you, but then you're not going to help me get a job after that? That's the whole point of it. And
exactly. It's not like a skill set that you can just learn, say day trading, right? It's not oh, I can teach you how to day trade and then you get your account and you use what I trained you on, right? It's not a skill set like that. You have to actually have access to the roles.
I am a single mom, so I'm super busy, work, I do dance part-time. So I'm really, trying to make sure I prioritize this though. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't want you to, especially with all the important stuff that you have, I don't ever want you to feel stressed out, you're not doing enough, you're not, you know what I mean? It's I'm here to help you specifically. That's why I don't kind of the group coaching thing and the blueprint for everyone because that your situation is different than someone else's and someone else is different than yours, right? So your schedule is totally cool. We'll work around it and we'll do what we can. Every call that we have after that is going to be direct coaching on your actual role that you're in now. So it's kind of a 2-part process where it's I want to train you to get you to the point where you feel ready and, you can actually land a role. But then I'd love to get call recordings from the role that you're in making money so that I can help you make more money in that role by giving you direct training on that actual job. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. Yeah. Being able to evaluate the game film.
Exactly.
And then
want to make money.
Yeah. Oh, I've been training for 18 years. So
exactly, right?
And to teach someone something you've been in the car business before. To teach somebody how to do something is one thing, but I think a lot of the coaching, what it brings to the table is you being able to be just being able to discuss with someone things in theory, so the understanding resonates a lot deeper.
So I mean, that's the framework is there for a reason, but the way that you speak and the way someone else speaks is different. And a big thing that I focus on here, and I really try to drill into people, is like, don't be rigid, don't be a robot, don't think that you have to sound like me or you have to sound like someone else that you work with. The only person that you have to sound like is yourself. That's the only thing that matters. So really, really lean into your authentic voice. That is the biggest part of having success in sales, because to have success in sales, like it, you can make a lot of money, but you have to talk to a lot of people, right? And if you're constantly putting on a mask, right, because you think you're supposed to be this other person or you're supposed to sound this way, that is exhausting and you'll be miserable.
Yeah.
So trust me when I tell you, who you are is 100% good enough. It's 100% correct. So just lean into your authentic voice. $120 for just a pair of jeans, or are we talking about $120 for a complete quality of life upgrade, right?
Complete quality of life upgrade.
Exactly. And it's because it matters, right? There was actual value there, and there was a personal connection for you specifically because it solved the problem that you had. So you're going to have the passion behind it, and you're going to have all the conviction necessary because, like, this isn't something someone told you to say. It actually solved the problem for you. So now when you're on calls with people in this industry, right? And people are afraid, oh, I don't, it's just $5,000. That's a lot. I mean, Ellie, everything looks so great. I'm really excited about it. It's just, that's a lot of money for me. I've never spent money, on something like that. Now you have all the conviction necessary because you spent money on something like that. And it put you in the position that you're now in today in this hypothetical call where you're doing what you want.
Yeah.
And that investment at that time, that was a lot of money too. But now you actually have the passion behind it because you were once in their shoes and you're genuinely helping someone do something. Sales is, what questions am I asking, right? Which is the stuff that's in the script that I give you, right? But then it's, why am I asking those questions, which is what all of the other modules, all those other 20 modules I have in there, that's what that explains. And then if you can understand what questions I need to ask, why I'm asking them, then you can start to control what answers am I looking for from the person on the call that is going to end up making them purchase.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yes, like I feel like for closing, definitely start asking like a lot of questions just so like you could use them for later references. The answers they have given me like as ammo to like shoot at them like for any objection.
Very
Am I
good.
making sense?
Yes, that's why you're asking those questions, is because
Yeah.
you need to get them to tell the truth. They have to see why they're stuck in the current position that they're stuck in. I like to have everyone come in and just, that's a mindset only module, right? Or mindset only training, so that you go through that and now your perspective has shifted. So now it's like, okay, wait a minute. I can actually do whatever I set my mind to, I'm capable, I'm worthy, all that good stuff that, you should be telling yourself. But so many people will go through life and like not think they're good enough or not think they deserve to have the things they do and get stuck in all these bad habits and not really just understand why, for the sole reason that they just haven't taken enough time to actually think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not gonna
Why haven't you done anything?
man. Exactly. So if information is readily available everywhere, why haven't you put everything together? Put the whole puzzle together and actually accomplished it yet?
Yeah, like what do you mean?
We've got another layer, right? It's just picking apart the truth in what they say and holding them accountable for it. Because a lie can never stand tall. A lie always it should have 4 legs, like a table should have 4 legs. A lie always has 3, always. So as long as you can isolate that and figure out where that missing 4th leg is, it's going to fall down every time. And then you can go and move on to the next thing they tell you and the next thing and the next thing. And then eventually they've run out of legs. Typically it takes about 3 before someone runs out of legs to stand on, and then they have nothing, and then they tell you the truth, and then you can give them a different perspective, and they respect you for it because you actually called them out on their bad behavior. You see?
Yeah. That happens at the bar too.
Ongoing.
100%, right? And it's because what you see on the other side, what your why was, right? You have a vision of yourself that's greater. You have a version of you that's doing better. You have a version of you that's, happier, live somewhere different, all these great things, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that magic is on the other side of the work that you're avoiding. Once you get over that, it's all right there for you. Literally her first day, she got someone piffed on an 8,500 offer. So like, it's fun, it's good. Yeah, no, it's like, she's on 5%, and like, it literally was an 8-minute conversation on the phone, and like, they paid her $425 for that, for 8 minutes on the phone with someone. Like,
That's crazy.
That's, you know what I mean? There's this one, and then here's another one. Similar, a little bit different, all covers the same stuff, just a different layer. So both of these, again, are right. And then with the scripts and the frameworks, they're all right. It's just about getting comfortable with the process and then finding like your authentic voice for it. Okay. Now, does all that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then as you progress, right, all of these modules, this is going to be explaining all the psychology and essentially like the why behind why all of these frameworks actually work. Like, why are you asking these questions? What are we trying to get to? Like, what are we really like pushing towards? Like, essentially all of like the meat underneath, just the base framework of like, this is what you're supposed to say. This is why you're actually saying it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are like some offers more credible than other ones? And like, if so, how can you tell?
So yes and no, right? The benefit that you have here with us is, I'm partnered up with the top recruiting, agency in the whole industry. We only get credible roles. Everything is vetted out and pre-verified before it ever gets listed onto my software. I never want any type of scammy offer where people are getting bad results, because I've never sold for an offer that didn't produce good results. And one, I don't believe in doing that. If I'm going to sell something that's expensive, it better fucking do what it's supposed to, right? Yeah. And listen, if the people don't apply themselves, right, that's a different issue, right? But what's promised better be delivered, right? Resonate question. So even in the closing script, right, instead of just thinking that you're going question, they answer, next question, just always hit them with acknowledge, resonate, then ask the next question. It's impossible to feel scripted, at that point. And you might even realize that you actually have a follow-up question that isn't in the script, but it just pops into your head. After you hit them with like an acknowledge and a resonate, they might say something else. And then instead of asking that next scripted question, you might actually just want to dig a little deeper on the question you just asked. But you'll never know until you hit them with the acknowledge and the resonate and kind of get a little bit more out of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then when you do that, it's like, then it's technically not scripted. Now you're off script, right? But it's just, you're still going to follow it. But it's like, then that's sort of the guideline. And then it can't feel scripted because you're getting to those touch points. But if you're acknowledging everything they say and then trying to resonate with them before queuing up your question, you're going to find yourself asking even more questions that aren't even in any of the scripts, just because it feels right to ask. Does that make sense?
It is.
Badly about a lot of these other programs, but it's literally because like they don't have the roles like that. Like they don't have nearly as many or stuff. So they want to hide it and delay people and all that. Just know what we have is just so good. I would rather have people in and out. Like I would rather people work and get exactly what they came here for and just be like super happy with their result. I just saw what was going on. So, and when I built this, I was like, wait a minute, like nobody wants to be trapped in some 6-month thing or some 12 month. Sales is it's not hard. So I just decided I would rather have everyone progress at the rate that they feel ready so people can get awesome results. You can just lock in on, okay, if I truly try my best, if I truly try as hard as I can't fail. And like, listen, if you're not 100% bought in on that yet, then just put all the blame on me and just say, well, Ryan said that this is true. But I know for a fact that if you try your absolute hardest, you will absolutely get a great result. You will be able to do it. But it only comes down to the effort level and the belief.
It's like, I can't fail. I committed.
It's not, and it's like, I can't fail because I committed. Because I'm actually going to try. It's not, I can't fail, like I'm nervous. It's no, I can't fail. It's just, it's either going to take me this long or it's going to take me this long. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's people who just started out just like you. There's people who've been in roles for a while, right? It's good to have a sense of community, because like I'm one person and like I can, it's my job to coach, but it's always nice to just make some friends along the way and posting. You know what I mean?
It's also nice to see, like, yes, you're the coach and you like taught everything, whatever, right? But like, it's also cool to see people that are going through literally exactly what you're going through, but how they maneuvered around it and how they got there. And so getting peer help also puts a lot of pressure off of you, even though you like it because you love it. Like you do this because you love it, absolutely. But it's
just
easier
a different
for everyone
level
with peer help. Yeah.
I think that, we covered, the biggest bottleneck for you. And I think that we have, we have some really, really strong thoughts now to be able to push against that. Right. And we've also covered, the reason why that's been the problem. Right. And it's just because that's just kind of how we were raised. Right. We just had a lot of influence going on that didn't really push us to, do the big thing. Right. And then had, some competitive things where it just kind of lowered our own status, but that's a small niche. That isn't truly worth. Right. So if we can just remember those two big things. I mean, you have all the confidence you need. It's already inside you. It's really just about stacking, that undeniable proof of just showing up, doing the reps, doing the work. And every time you do that, all you're doing is putting another stack of paper in that filing cabinet in your brain that said, I am who I say I am because I'm doing the thing. I'm doing what I said I was going to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Perfect. Those have closed, millions of dollars for me over the past couple of years here. Right. And they're proven. It's standardized. Right. But going in all of those other modules, right, that's the why you're asking all of those questions. And if this is something that is, come more naturally to you, all that stuff is going to make total sense. And you're going to be like, yeah, obviously, like, okay, like, yep, checks out. Right. But for people who, maybe they don't have any type of skill set in terms of negotiations or communicating or having difficult conversations, right? Like, not like yourself, right? Who's doing, all of this stuff in law where like, there's serious stuff that needs to be talked about. Right. Some people, I have people in there and they're like, this was like, I've never had this perspective before. Right. And it's like, that's huge. That's great for that person. Right. And it might take them a little bit longer to really grab onto things. But if you already have, this background in negotiations and all sorts of things like that, it should be pretty easy for you to really latch onto this and connect the dots. So we can move quickly here and get you on some interviews and, try to, secure a role for you. I think what people just miss, at least what a lot of people miss out on, and it's just because I was a closer for years before, I started this, right? And what I just saw is that, like, I don't know, working on sales teams, and then also being, like a manager on some other sales teams. So like I was coaching people as a sales manager as well as being a closer. So like I realized that if you actually put like real dedicated time into someone, like one-on-one, they actually learn so much faster than if you were to just kind of do like a big group message or a big group, like when we do our team meetings. So to me, like you said, you appreciate that I have time for everyone. And it's like, I can have time for everyone because the time spent is just so much more valuable. Us just here is worth like 5 weeks of group coaching, maybe even more. So like people get way faster results and way better results. So it's easy for me to have time for everyone because like people realize after a couple sessions, they're like, I'm already doing great. Like, this is great. You know what I mean? Because I go so in depth on like a lot of like really, really specific aspects of things. It's honestly more stuff than you would ever need, to be honest with you. That's what I tell people, like, to have success in this industry. Like, that's way more than you would ever need. But I just wanted to break down like as many different topics and as many different variations of like why things are important, so that on the chance of there's something in there that will resonate with everybody, because everyone's different. That's how I wanted that to be. Just because, again, the most improvement always happens with the mock calls. That's like the most important. So it's like a two-way thing too, right? So it's like it sets the person up who's getting ready to start this, like, okay, this is the mindset I need to have to be successful. But then I find that people will come back and say that they'll reflect on that, because majority of the people that you're going to be speaking to, right, about, because high ticket sales, I mean, all this stuff is, you know, things that can dramatically change someone's life if they actually apply themselves in whatever program they end up, you know, choosing, right? All the people that you speak with, they're going to have so many limiting beliefs that are crushed, you know, in that module. So it sets the tone for you, but then you'll also realize like, wow, so many people that I speak with, they think the opposite of a lot of this, and I have to show them the way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's why I have it set up that way. So it's like mindset only first, right? And then it goes into sales. And the next one after is like all the personal scripts and frameworks and some objection handles that I've used personally myself. So I feel, you know, very strongly about those, just because it's not something that, you know, someone else gave me or anything. It's my own stuff that actually closed, you know, millions of dollars in the industry. It is all stuff, you know, it's all the exact same stuff that I've closed, you know, millions of dollars in this industry with. So I put my stamp on it. I know for a fact that it is the right way to go about things. And there's a couple versions of it you'll actually notice, right? So you actually get to see my own personal evolution, right? The first one, super scripted, like word for word. It has like tonalities included, like say this with a curious tone or empathetic, kind of like super beginner level, right? Just so you can get like a really good understanding of like, okay, this is kind of how I should sound. It shifts to, okay, let's cut a little bit of that out and let's get some room in here for some of our own ideas, right? And not just rely on a script. It starts kind of turning more into a framework, but it's still very script heavy. Then the next one, it separates even more, right? And then you'll start to notice like some bullet points appear instead of direct questions, like written out sentences. You'll see like, okay, make sure, you know, you need to understand this, this, and this, right? And it combined with, you know, some phrases that you would want to be saying. And then the next one, it splits even more. And then the final one is basically just bullet points. And that was kind of my final evolution of like, I know how to have the conversation, you know, whether we wanted to go and do things, like at least if I have my phone and my laptop, I can always know that like I'm doing what I can to protect and provide for, you know, myself and my family, but I'm also still present, because if you're not present, you know, for the people you love and care about, it kind of doesn't, it starts to not matter as much that you're doing so much to make this money for them. Like they want to see you. Do you know what I mean? For you, it would really just be like, a big thing about this is being super casual in the way that you go about it. So like for me, like you can tell, like, I mean, I have a chair that leans back, like that's just how it is. But like, I'm very open in my posture, very comfortable, very casual. And like, obviously this is a coaching call, but I mean, this is my whole thing. I take this unbelievably seriously, right? But this is how I've taken closing calls as well, right? And, you know, like the fact that, you know, I, you know, just worked out, right? So I have, you know, a hat on, like, it's not a big deal at all to me, right? When, okay, could it be maybe more professional if, you know, my hair was done and all that stuff? But at the end of the day, I'm just so detached from, you know, all these other perceived outcomes of like the pressure that comes with things, that it actually ends up making me appear way more credible. Does that make sense?
Right.
Totally cool. That's more so a time constraint versus a skill constraint, right? But keep in mind, you know, your skills are just naturally going to get better the more you do it, right? And that's going to be, you know, maybe you get set up on, you know, a smaller company where they can handle, you know, more of a part-time type of deal, and they're happy to have you because you're doing a great job, right? And then once you have, you know, some serious proof of concept of, okay, you're doing great, you really enjoy it, and, you know, all right, I'm going to leave, you know, the automotive industry, I'm going to go into this full time. Let's really go for a big fish here. I'd like to secure, you know, 25, 30K per month role here. That would be awesome at you know, a larger company. Then, you know, by all means, man, that could be the right transition point. You know, there's no one and done, right? You saw we have 211, you know, jobs currently added in the past 7 days, and that never stops. Wow. And you'll have access to this forever. So just because you get started at one place and you do that for a month or two, there's no reason at all to then say, you know, thanks so much for your time, guys. I'm actually going to move on to a different opportunity, and then just use this same software again, brother, and get yourself into a bigger role. Actually try as hard as you can. It has to work out.
So it really just made me sit back and think and just be like, you need to do something about your life if you want any change.
Because I mentioned it in Rewired Mind and stuff as well, but like, you know, maybe you thought, you know, you were trying as hard as you could, and then it didn't work out, and you're like, well, but I tried as hard as I could, and, you know, it didn't work out, right? And you kind of question, you're like, well, maybe I actually wasn't trying as hard as I could. I've seen myself, you know, fake try for something and literally, you know, miss it by this much. And then I've seen myself try as hard as I can on something tremendously more difficult and actually have it work out. And it's because I actually tried as hard as I could. That's the secret. And this is what they don't want you to know, but this is the truest statement I could ever tell you. If you actually try as hard as you can, it has to work out. There's no way around it. And it's because it just means that you won't give up. And if you don't give up, you will win. You will get it. It's just a matter of time. And I'm dead serious about that.
That's what drains my energy, when I should be using my energy more on studying on what I need to study. So that's
it's so funny. What you said is spot on, right? It actually drains your energy using less energy, because deep down here, right in the back of your mind, you know, oh, I should have did this. I should, you know, and it actually lowers your own energy. So yeah, so I've been there too. I procrastinate plenty of things in my life, and I have to catch myself and be like, wait a minute, you gotta do this now, or else you're not going to do it later. You know, even though if you're going to pretend and say you're going to do it later, you're not. It's actually going to get pushed until tomorrow. So if you don't do now, you're not doing it at all, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I
found a lot of it impressive.
That's
awesome. I was noticing when I went through my call with Jericho the other night, I'm like, okay, I can understand how he's walking me through this.
Yep.
And this is the issue at hand of, is it just interest, or is it a powerful enough motivating factor to make you want to change, to take action on it? And just recognizing the fact that it's just a decision you need to make. It's not a wall you need to jump over to do it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because so many people, until they actually have that conversation with someone who's, you know, talented at you know, the process of really being able to listen properly and ask those questions, because you can have the best explanation in the world. If you just tell it to someone, they're not going to do anything. They have to essentially tell it to you, right? By you asking those questions. It's crazy because until someone has that conversation, it does feel like this huge wall that they have to climb over. But it's really just a decision. It's just fear. It's essentially just finding out why they haven't done something about it already.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that's ever going to stop someone from starting, is whatever the previous reason is that they haven't already done it is going to be the exact same reason that they don't do it right there with you. Right.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, that's great. I'm glad that you think it's really simple. I think it's super simple too. I had immediate success in a couple different fields in sales, and I know other people who struggle for years and years. And I think people overcomplicate things and try to like into something that it's really not. It's really just about like being a good listener and picking up on certain things and not letting things slide. Because if you give in to all sorts of limiting beliefs and bad behavior on the call, then those are going to be the exact same things that stop the call from actually turning into a close, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. All right, I like it. So
there was this video I watched. It was like, what's the biggest lie somebody ever told you? Sorry. Amazon is dropping off the package.
It's okay.
Ollie, it's fine. He's nice. He gave me a present. So there's this video I watched that was like, what's the biggest lie that like somebody's told you? And it was like, it's too complicated. Like, it was like nothing in life is that complicated.
I don't like to gatekeep anything from anyone. So like it really is like on like what you would want to actually do. Like, I'm never going to tell you that I don't think that you should go for something. Do you know what I mean? I would encourage you to think bigger and to try things, right?
But I feel like obviously like even if I did start taking my first call like tomorrow, like obviously I'm not going to expect myself to be perfect, but I do feel like I will feel more ready by I'd say next week. That's what I've been thinking about since Monday. Like I feel like by next week, if I just keep learning every single day, and I feel because I already feel secure, I just want to start taking action and taking the next step.
Yeah.
So I feel like somewhere by around next week, I will be ready.
The plan that you were hoping for here?
Yeah, honestly, I'd love to be on something like as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's great. That's exactly why we run things the way we do. A lot of other programs, regardless of skill level of the person, they kind of just make you, finish like a 16-week or a 24-week, type of deal before, they want to tell you that you're certified. And it's just like, well, I mean, like, who's to say, like, who says who? Do you know what I mean? I've had people come in who are super ready to roll and, get placed in a role in, a couple of days, right? A week, 2 weeks, right? And it's like, if that person had to be, settled in on something else for months and months, it's like they probably would have got bored and moved on and done something else. You know what I mean?
Like I looked into a couple of different courses and they were like, yeah, do like a 3-month course and then we'll get you placed. Or like some of them were like, oh yeah, we're not even going to help you with placement, but here's a list of people you can contact. Like, no.
Look at those frameworks. You'll see the first script is like word for word stuff. Like that's essentially if someone has no experience in sales, it has like the tonality listed in it for people who wouldn't even understand, really how they should be saying things. And then as you go to the next one, then the next one, the next one, it starts to branch away from an actual script and it turns more so into like checkpoints of like, make sure you cover, okay, what do they do for work? How long they've been doing it, how much money they're making, right? It has less of like real scripted lines and more so just check marks of like what you need to be covering in the conversation because you already have the flow down of how you would be speaking with someone, right? Yeah. No, I totally get it. Well, because it's your life, right? I mean, who were you to live, a previous dream, right? Because that's all things are, is it's like you visualize one thing and you take actionable steps to get to it. And then once you actually get there, if it's not what you thought it was, or if your perspective changed, you don't owe it to anybody to continue to pursue that. Do what you want to do, right?
Right.
So for you then, what does that really look like in sales? I mean, how comfortable are you with what you've seen so far?
Honestly, like I don't think it's that difficult. Like I'm already good at talking to people. I've read some of the scripts or whatever, and it's really just like kind of getting to know the person and like trying to figure out what their goals are, like why they feel stuck, why they even booked the call in the first place. Like it honestly seems very simple. Like I've done consultations with trying to sign on clients for our firm and stuff, and they have like we have something that they need. So it's like it's kind of just getting to the root of the issue, I guess.
Better take a call. You better do it because no one else is doing it for you, man. You
got to pay the price, man.
Yeah.
You got to pay the price, and you sometimes you got to be at the field way before the game starts, and sometimes you need to stay on the field long after the lights get cut off too. But it's a price to be paid to have it all.
It's a fact.
I'm willing to accept that.
It definitely is a fact, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a pleasure having you. I have a bunch of people that I love working with, and then I have some people that I I have to push harder, right? Because they're not as comfortable with, putting some work in. But yeah, man, you fall right into the category of, you have the prime attitude for this. I mean, you have me in your corner, man. Any questions you have about anything, I give my number for a reason. So just send me a text. Like, you're never bothering me. None of that, brother. Like,
I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man.
Yes. Some people come in and they're like, this is really overwhelming for me. I don't even really know where to start. And I'm like,
where to start? Yeah.
Just read the first one and you'll understand exactly what a conversation would look like. There's like small talk built into it. And there's some people who are like, I've been in sales my whole life. I just haven't done this industry. I just kind of need to know the framework of how these calls are usually run. I'm like, great, check out, the last 3. That's kind of going to be your baseline.
Okay.
And then on top of that, I also have a bunch of different like objection handles that I would typically use. And essentially it's like, they're almost like kind of 1, 2, maybe even like 3-liners that you would take someone through, but it's really going to be using that combined with, everything that they actually told you on the call and having that conversation.
Okay.
It's just to give you a base point of like, this is how you would start to handle
it. Okay.
Because it's completely dependent on the person that you're actually speaking with. That's a lot, I mean, Ellie, everything looks so great. I'm really excited about it. It's just, that's a lot of money for me. I've never spent money, on something like that. Now you have all the conviction necessary because you spent money on something like that. And it put you in the position that you're now in today in this hypothetical call where you're doing what you want. Yeah. And that investment at that time, that was a lot of money too. But now you actually have the passion behind it because you were once in their shoes and you're genuinely helping someone do something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So when you start to think about, okay, I'm uncomfortable with the objections, I'm uncomfortable kind of pushing people, that limiting belief only stems from the fact that you've been forced to push people on products that you didn't align with from a person that you didn't align with, right? Tactics that you didn't align with because you didn't believe that the value of, pushing someone over the edge for a scratchy t-shirt was worth it, right? But now when we change it to the fact of we're actually going to be pushing someone over the edge because this is going to dramatically increase their quality of life. This is an opportunity that they have been waiting for, right? And you can speak from personal experience that you have invested in yourself in a different program to get to where you are today. If you've done a good job on the discovery, the objections that you're typically going to get are, it's really just going to come down to the cost. And then usually in that case, if it's like, okay, it's actually the fact that you just don't have the full amount, like, cards on the table, no questions asked, like you believe this is the best fit for you. You're going to put the time in, you trust in what we do here. And they're going to be like, yep, absolutely. And then it's really just, getting them set up with whatever amount they actually can put down to start. These offers are so good, right? At least all the offers that we carry, there's bad offers out there, but I mean, that my recruiting agency doesn't carry anything that isn't verified and ready to rock, right? But all the good offers, they have great results. It's a great program, and you're never going to get someone on a call who's like, doesn't sound good. I don't like it. Like you're not going to get that objection. It's always going to come down to they either don't have enough money to start or they're afraid that they're going to fail. Those are basically the biggest 2 that you would end up handling. We're going to get to the real final objection, which is typically, I'm afraid that I'm going to invest this money and it's not going to work and I'm going to fail. That's like pretty much what every objection always loops back to. And then whether or not they actually have the money for it, yes or no. But typically when people, overcome whatever fear, whatever objection they have, it's not going to be, like, oh, I don't have the money. Like, I really wish I could. Like, they'll find a way. They'll find a way. And typically people are flexible. Yeah, exactly. Like you did. You know what I mean? Like there's always a way, especially with the fact that a lot of these things have finance. Some of these things have different tiers of help where you can still get involved and get started and, eventually get to the package that you want. Like there's there are so many different ways to go, and it's based on the company that you're working with, obviously. But like, I don't know a single company that like that has one way to work with people only. Like everyone has some type of financing option. Everyone.
If you've never done this before, it's only natural that you would feel this way. But when someone tells you that, hey, what you're feeling and what you're thinking is totally understandable, because you can only operate within the constraints of your own thinking with the job or the position that you currently have. Why would you think that there's anything else? And if you did, a lot of people are more or less like, I have to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think a critical component of that is letting people know that, no, it's not a wall to climb. It's just a decision to make.
Yeah.
And a step to take action. And then once you cross that threshold, hey man, now it's about putting the work in.
Yes.
About the investment and the time. And it's just like anything else.
45 minutes of us just here is worth like 5 weeks of group coaching, maybe even more. You know what I mean? So like people get way faster results and way better results. So it's easy for me to have time for everyone, because like people realize after a couple sessions, they're like, I'm already doing great. Like, this is great. You know what I mean? And that was kind of like the biggest thing. I think a lot of people just don't realize that. I think that maybe they think they couldn't do one-on-ones with people because it would take up too much time, but it
Maybe,
really,
yeah, you know. Yeah,
no,
so,
it really
I appreciate that. I'm more of a one-on-one person, especially if I'm learning something new. The information can be overwhelming. So it's just,
yeah.
you need someone to talk to and answer your questions. Sometimes I feel in group conversations, you just kind of get lost. You don't get to ask the questions you need to, and you're just sitting there.
Yeah. And it's like, you're going to raise your hand in the Zoom room with like 400
literally
people. That's like embarrassing. Like, you don't want to, that's to me, like group coaching calls it's like if you want to join a lecture hall and you want to listen to people, explain a bunch of things, and you can't really ask a question, and it's just this big room, like that's great. But what I prefer is the one-on-one aspect where, 45 minutes of me and you working on something would be equivalent to like 6 weeks of group coaching, because we can talking exactly about what you have, and then what, follow-up questions come up. And what I find is when training, the biggest, aha moments and the biggest, steps forward aren't just in the initial question. It's always in the question, the feedback, and then the follow-up question based on the feedback. And that's the conversation of things. That's the best part. But doing the work is never fun. It's not. And that's okay. As long as you can just take some humility in that and understand that, like, no one thinks that this is fun. Like, I'm not alone. Like, this isn't fun. But what I'm working towards, all of that is going to be super fun. Right? So it's just being able to put that effort in and just remembering your why on a day-to-day basis. And if you ever feel like down about something, if you're ever not feeling motivated, like, it wouldn't be like a sales coaching question. It would really just be like hey, like I'm not feeling up to it today. I'm feeling whatever. Like, just text me. Just send me a text, and I will happily be able to text you back and let you know, like just give you a refresher on, hey, we're doing this, or ask you, what's going on? Is something wrong? Right? Like, you can just text me. So if you're feeling down or anything like that, like, please just let me know. Like, I'm here for you outside of these calls. Like, I gave you my cell phone number for a reason. What actually closes deals is you understand why you're asking the questions you're asking, and you actually understand the person you're speaking with. And once you know that, it really becomes effortless, because the people want what you're selling. They're just looking for someone who, like, they can tell, like, genuinely gives a fuck about them. So if you can understand the why and essentially memorize the what, you'll be golden. So like I said, I've had people get roles in literally 2 days of actually starting. So, I mean, she landed her role in 2 days, but I mean, I've had people land roles in a week, 2 weeks, a month. Framing, right? Intro, situation, problem awareness, truths, deeper motivation, anti-sell, pain diving, solution, tie down, future pacing, consequences, more consequences, pitch. It's always the same thing. Like no matter what, it's just structured differently. So as long as you follow that same setup of taking them through like, okay, our introduction, okay, what's actually going on? What do we actually want to accomplish? What would things look like in the future if all of this worked out for you? And then what happens if you don't take action, right? Okay. That's basically the whole thing. And then, pitch the offer and then close. So you'll notice that they're all different, but they're all essentially the same thing. All of that is done in the discovery by just asking them the right questions and just making them actually feel understood, right? Because think about your call with Jericho, right? I'm sure, you had goals, you had ambitions, you needed to make sure that, you were getting involved in something that would actually match up with those goals and ambitions, right? I'm sure that you had, your skepticisms as well, right? Mm-hmm. He made you feel heard, made you feel seen, you trusted it, right? And then we were able to come up with, a way to make this happen for you, right? Always reflect back on that. And I say that just because Jericho just does a really good job. So it's always great to reflect back on your own personal experience and think about how you felt, right? Because then you can really use that same kind of emotion of how you felt and put it on someone else, right? Because mm-hmm. that's an easy transfer of you've actually experienced, what it feels like to kind of go through some of those motions and have things become clear and feel the trust and then actually, take the step forward. So if you think about that, you're able to apply it, the same way just because you've actually been in that person's shoes yourself. You see what I'm saying? Typically, the only way that usually does happen is with like a partner objection, because that's at least kind of real. It's still not very real, to be honest. Most of the objections people give you are just complete nonsense. It's really either just they don't have the money or they're afraid that they're going to fail. That's basically the root of all objections. But the partner one is the only one that I've seen where maybe, someone is honestly, my wife and I do this, together. I think it would be fair for, her to actually join the call, right? Or, vice versa, my husband and I actually do this together. I think it would be fair for him to join the call, whatever it may be. It goes both ways. I've seen it go both ways.
Yeah. That's
the only one that might happen. But for the most part, if they don't close on the call, it's probably it just isn't going to happen. And you get paid every 2 weeks, which is sick. So whatever you get set up on, those 2 weeks is that's right then and there commission, direct deposit, which is sick. So no waiting around or following up on all these deals and all that. Keep in mind though, right? When you're on the call, so your master framework, master script that you're always just going to have on you is going to have all the different variations of things that you would, potentially say, just kind of as little cheat, little cheat codes that you can just have up there, right? So it's always on your screen. So as you're having the conversation, you're never going to forget to cover something because you're going to have everything you need.
It's right there, yeah.
And based on how the conversation goes, you'll know, hey, all right, I'm gonna hit these 3 points, or this person is, super shy, so I'm not gonna hit this third point. I already got everything I needed from asking these first 2, right? And then as you get to the end, same thing with the objection handles. You'll have all of them up, and it's just on you to just personalize, the objection handle to the person you're actually speaking with, and just, use those as your little cheat codes. The best closers, the best setters, right? They understand why they're actually asking those things. So you have, the scripts, the frameworks, the objection handles. It's everything that you would actually need, dialing, setters as well, for DM setters, messaging, and then dialing setters as well. Different frameworks for that, because that's slightly different. And you essentially have everything that you would actually need. It's really just about taking it, practicing it, and then finding your own authentic voice through it. Because the way I sound isn't going to be the way you sound, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a good thing. And then all the modules after that, right? The trainings after that are essentially explaining why we're saying the things we're saying in those scripts,
Okay.
in those frameworks, right? So it's
Yeah.
the scripts and the frameworks, that's the what, that's all you need, right? But the best closers, the best setters, right? They understand why they're actually asking those things. Get to the point where you see my progression where it's just bullet points, where it's essentially just reminders of like, so you don't get off track and forget to, ask people certain things. Because if you know why you're asking someone something, what response you're trying to get, or what emotion you're trying to kind of elicit, then you can control any conversation. So, essentially, the way things really go is you want to make sure, you check out, okay, I run people through, it's get everyone in the right mindset. So that's rewired mind. And then I show them, okay, there's all my scripts and frameworks, right? Objection handles, everything to, just show you the flow of what a typical sale looks like in this industry, right? And that's all my personal stuff. So the order of those questions, that's just the way that this industry kind of rolls, because it's very much based on, taking them through the process of like, okay, setting, clear authority at the beginning, right? Making sure that, they respect you as, a certified expert in whatever niche they're really looking in, right? Figure out, okay, where are they currently at? What do they do for work? All that good stuff, taking them through, their goals, all the way down to, pain points, what things would look like if, it all worked out, and then the consequences of not doing it, down to the pitch, and then close objection handle if necessary. All of that is
matters, or like money comes into play, that's when I freak out, versus like I almost feel like there isn't a consequence. Like then that's when I can like think on my feet really fast.
It makes total sense. And so this is why so many people talk very, very heavily, not just me, but other people who are successful in sales as well, is you need to be almost detached from the sale.
Yeah.
Because when the person can tell, like, oh man, like this person really wants me to buy this, it almost turns them off. Where if money's on the line, it matters, right? Obviously, you want the deal to close. That's where, okay, maybe the nerves come in, and maybe we start overthinking some of the things that we would say. And, that leads us to be less smooth, less confident in kind of what we're doing, right? So for you, it would really just be like, a big thing about this is being super casual in the way that you go about it. So like for me, like you can tell, like, I have a chair that leans back, like that's just how it is. But like, I'm very open in my posture, very comfortable, very casual. And like, obviously this is a coaching call, but this is my whole thing. I take this unbelievably seriously, right? That's like for, super beginner. Like I have no idea, how this is supposed to go, all the way down to what you would really want to get to, which is you have, your base set of questions that, personally, regardless of what you're selling, you have to ask this person, or else they're never going to be in the right, state of mind to buy. And you don't have enough credibility to even make a good suggestion, right? Because you're going to sell your thing regardless, but people are only going to purchase from you if they believe that you've done enough due diligence on your part to actually make the correct recommendation, right? Which is why you don't get on these calls and it's not just like, hey, what's going on? Nice to meet you. Okay, great. Let me tell you about my thing. People will just be like, okay, like, I don't know if this would work for me. Like, I don't know. Right.
They're like, but why? But
exactly.
Why do I need
right.
that?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so when you go through that conversation, you're essentially just gathering all the ammo that you would need. And you're also giving them the opportunity to have their own realization in that moment of, oh, well, yeah, based on this conversation, like, yeah, I definitely do need something like this. These are the problems I'm experiencing. And if this is going to solve it, then logically it just makes sense that this is, what I should do, right? They have to be able to have enough of trust and connection with you to be open enough to actually share that with you, right? And then at the end, when they're giving you all the reasons why they can't start or they can't do this, you're able to then take all of those hard truths that they gave you and loop them back and be like, but I thought that you said, you wanted to do this for XYZ reason, right? And it's like, you have to make them reflect on those things. So that's why that's very important. Those modules, all of them, Yeah, that's going to be, I know you said you've watched a lot of content and stuff. This is as in-depth as it ever could be. They're all really long, I'm going to be honest with you, and there's a lot in there. So it's vitally, vitally important that you cover those for sure.
Yes, there's a lot of information, which is really, really good.
You don't walk up to someone in the lot with a piece of fucking paper, man. That's work. You have to actually have some sales skills. You have to actually have some people skills and understand how to get out of some really uncomfortable situations, man. I mean, I've had some of my favorite sales that I had selling cars was I would go up to someone in the lot who was just, looking around, obviously, right? And I've met some pretty unpleasant people who I would, go up to them and they'd be like, get the fuck away from me, man. Like, I'm not interested. And then lo and behold, 2 hours later, they're at my desk and they're signing on the dotted line to buy the car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
like
crazy.
I was looking into training and it was speaking about how the first 7 to 12 seconds are so critical. And, people walk in with this preconceived notion of this is going to be exactly the way it was in every other dealership that I had stopped at.
Yep.
But when you can break that chain of their thinking to recognize that, hey, man, first of all, whether you're looking at new or something used, let's just start with me pointing you in the right direction.
Right.
And then we'll take it from there. And then you'll let me know if it works for you or not.
I want to be able to get the handling objections down so well where I don't need to look at the notes because I'm a lot more present when I'm not looking at anything else other than the person I talk to.
It's really just essentially going to be like muscle memory in terms of like understanding like the typical reframes for things. Once you do it a couple times, you're really not going to need them at all. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. All it's going to end up being is you looping things over and over again to be able to isolate what their actual issue is, because they're going to say one thing and like the first thing that they always say as an objection is just not true. It's just not, like they're just saying shit. It's just, trust me, people just say shit like they're retarded, right? And then it's going to be isolating it and really honing in, and then they're not, because unless they're complete liars, which they're not going to be, they're going to then break away from that and then veer onto another one, and then you're going to do the same thing and isolate that. The same as your monthly cash collected, or do you guys have a lot of recurring payments? How many setters are on your staff? How many closers are on your staff? How many calls get booked per month? How many calls get booked per week? All of the metrics. A lot of people, will think like, oh, well, that's really pushy. I'm just happy, to be. No. They want someone like that. They want someone who cares, who's interested, and who take it seriously. So not only will that give you all the information that you would need to actually make a credible, decision on your end, but it also positions you as someone who's totally qualified. Because if you feel confident enough to ask those types of questions, you obviously feel confident enough to ask the hard questions to the prospect that actually gets them, over the finish line. Make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then focus on, okay, let's do mock calls as a closer, and then let's do mock calls as a setter, right? So a closing mock call, before you get to like pitch and all of that stuff, right? Typically going to be like 20 to 35 minutes at the longest, right? A setting call, typically going to be 5 to 15 minutes. So just difference in terms of like how that goes. You're asking really, really similar questions, just way less in depth on, the setting call, right? You just want to make sure that they're actually qualified, that they know what this is, they have a good reason why, they actually would be willing to, put the effort in that's required for them to get the results. And then, do they have some form of capital set aside? Because obviously, people's time and resources cost money, right? That's really it, right? And then you book them in on the call. Then the closing call obviously takes you way more in depth. We really need to break limiting beliefs, get into the deeper why of, why this person actually wants to make a change, right? And then, obviously pitch, whatever the offer is, and then potentially handle objections if need be. Really just provide like good clarity, because they're going to say one thing, and like the first thing that they always say as an objection is just not true. It's just not, like they're just saying shit. It's just, trust me, people just say shit. And then it's going to be isolating it and really honing in, and then they're not, because unless they're complete liars, which they're not going to be, they're going to then break away from that and then veer onto another one, and then you're going to do the same thing and isolate that, and then we're going to get to the real final objection, which is typically, I'm afraid that I'm going to invest this money and it's not going to work and I'm going to fail. That's like pretty much what every objection always loops back to. So you'll be able to figure it out at that point, but it's just overcoming the fear. That's really all it'll be. And those little reframes are there to help you just kind of isolate and then like redirect what the actual problem is. But that alone, just saying, those isn't necessarily just going to close someone. It's going to get them in the right state where then you can transition back to, it's on you to freestyle and just have that genuine conversation with them. So it's all going to come down to just genuine conversation. That stuff is just there to guide you,
I can do that part. I can do the genuine conversation part.
Having a complete understanding of, what the framework of a call actually is, right? And then being able to like have a genuine conversation that, you don't sound like a robot. You're not, it feels natural. And it's just because the framework, right? But every other training that's in there after all of my base frameworks, the frameworks are the what. This is what we're doing, right? Like that's it. Like that's the right way. I promise. Like that's what we're doing. Everything else is why we're doing it, right? That's why I have it structured that way. So when you go through, you'll start to understand like, why are we asking these questions? What am I trying to get this person to realize? Everyone has a different base skill set. And then also everybody sounds different. So like, just because, let's say any random member, like let's say Ellie does something one way, and then let's say Ashley does something another way. And then let's say you do something a slightly different way. You all could totally be right. As long as you're following that framework that's set up, you'll notice all the scripts, regardless of how different they are, they all follow the exact same order. That's the biggest thing of just following that order of the call, because that's psychologically proven to cover all your bases and get someone in the buying pocket where they trust you enough and you've done your due diligence to actually know that it's appropriate for you to offer the solution. And there's going to be times where it's not, and they might not be a good fit, and it might not be the best option for them. And like, you have so many calls, there's so many leads that like, it's better to just tell them and be like, I honestly don't think that this would be a good fit for you, and move on. Like there is absolutely no reason that if you, feel comfortable and confident at any point before you're finished with this, that you can't start trying to land some roles. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm never going to hold you back on a timeline. I want you to get results as quickly as you feel comfortable doing so. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm so used to like other places, like you need to finish all of this before you can do anything or move on. So
before you can even like or they even show you what they may or may not
that
have.
part. Yeah, that part. And I was just like, what?
Yeah, it's super shady. It's super shady.
Yeah,
and I hate
it
that
is.
badly about a lot of these other programs, but it's literally because like they don't have the roles like that. Like they don't have nearly as many or stuff. So they want to hide it and delay people and all that. And for me, like, I just know what we have is just so good. I would rather have people in and out. Would you feel?
I've done that.
Right.
I've done 100%. I'm like, these things last years. I've had pairs. I still wear them. They don't get worn. They don't get worn out, right? Like they are still intact. They don't just rip.
Right.
They're stretchy. They stay with you. They form to your body the more you wear them. Yep. Like it is an investment. It's an investment. It might be short term because they're jeans, but it's an investment. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, $120 for a pair of jeans is a little asinine. Not gonna lie. But if it's the one pair of jeans that fits you, you can wear them when you're working. You can wear them when you're lounging. You can sit in them. You can stand in them. You can run in them. You can stretch in them. Right. They're not just gonna like tear.
Yep.
A butt crack or a pocket.
Right. So now, are we really talking about $120 for just a pair of jeans, or are we talking about $120 for a complete quality of life upgrade, right?
Complete quality of life upgrade.
Exactly. And it's because it matters, right? There was actual value there, and there was a personal connection for you specifically because it solved the problem that you had. The biggest thing is that companies don't want someone who hasn't invested in themselves and actually taken some form of chance to create a better life, right? Because how would you, if you're someone who's never invested in themselves, never taken, any type of, so-called risk, right? Get on a call with someone and then ask them to do the same thing. That's not fair. So that's a huge thing. So always reflect back on that. And that'll help you tremendously and put a real personal touch on things. That's what I tell everyone in their onboarding call, is to reflect back on their own personal experience. It'll just make things that much easier for you. Now, when we change it to the fact of, we're actually going to be pushing someone over the edge because this is going to dramatically increase their quality of life. This is an opportunity that they have been waiting for, right? And you can speak from personal experience that you have invested in yourself in a different program to get to where you are today. And the only reason that you were able to get in that position is because you got uncomfortable and you made an investment in yourself when you were uncertain of what the future looked like. And now it's the exact same situation for that person, right? Something that you're passionate about now. So now, is it really pushy? Is it, whatever? Or is it,
it's heavy convincing,
doing them a disservice by not pushing them to actually make the decision that changes their life? So it actually reverses, and you would be a worse person for not doing your job correctly. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I think it's also because I don't know the kind of world that I want to be selling, right? Like, I certainly don't want to do fitness. Don't put me anywhere close to fitness.
I'm excited to have a whole online community that's, of course, you're much higher, but people just starting like me, people that made their first sale, someone that's been here forever, someone that owns the company.
You have support everywhere around you, so it's a very welcoming place. That's the way I built it. That's really important to me. So you're in good hands. All right. I don't want people to copy anyone else. I don't want anyone to. It's better to just rip it on your own, just to see what it actually feels like. Because this is a problem that people have. People try to copy other people just because it's, oh, well, this person's good at it. So it's like, I could show you my calls, right? But like, I can just tell just because we're just different people, right? And not even just like being like in different stages of life or like doing different things. Like, we're just different people. Like, we're going to sound differently. So like, what I would do if you tried to emulate what I did, it just wouldn't be right. Do you know what I mean? Because the best thing is your authentic voice, because then you're never going to put a mask on. And a lot of people get exhausted on these calls because they're always trying to be somebody else. If you always just show up as just you, you could take 1 million calls in a day and you won't be tired because you're only being yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So the best thing that we can do is just get your first rep in.
You gotta be a little bit vulnerable and personal and connect with them, or else you're just gonna be shallow talk. And I'm not like a real big small talk person, like, I can ask you what your favorite color is and
like, do you even
whatever.
care?
Like, do I care? No. I've always been that type of person. I love to get to know people on a deeper level if they allow it, not push your way through, but just kind of seeing where they are and where their mindset is as well. And so I appreciate it. It's been fun to get to know you too. So
it's great. And this is and the reason that, like, this is just another reason why one-on-one coaching actually works, because like, would you have ever, like, you're not opening up like that in a group call with 400 people.
Ain't no way.
Like, it's just not
happening. Hey, by the way.
Yeah, by the way.
Let me tell you about my trauma. Let me tell you.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. But so, I mean, you're in a really good place to start. You definitely are. That is where the sale gets made the most, is when you're pre-handling the objections, because when the price has already been thrown on the table, the pressure is amplified heavily. So all throughout the call, if you're not getting the answers that you want from these people, right? And they're giving you very limiting belief answers, right? Like you're running through the script and, you're asking them, well, I mean, how long have, you've been trying to accomplish X, Y, Z, whatever. And they're going to say, oh, probably like 2 years. And you're like, 2 years, it's a really long time. Like what's kind of been the story there? What have you tried? And
Yeah.
they're like, I don't know. Everything just seems like a scam. And if you just move on to the next question, you're never going to close that call. You have to handle that right then and there. Because when you get to the close, what's going to happen? They're going to be like, how do I know this isn't a scam?
Yeah.
And now you already have a price tag listed. So now that objection to handle is going to be this big. When if you just pre-handled it at the start of the call, it would only be this big. And you can actually, conquer that. Like, that's interesting, man. I mean, scam can mean a lot of things. Like the old days of people, taking your money and then all of a sudden, the phone hangs up, right? That really doesn't happen anymore. But maybe fulfillment wise, not getting the right support, just for you personally, like what would you really define as a scam? The main driving force that always closes deals is, I mean, what happens if you don't do anything about this? Because people only change, when their back is really against the wall, right? It's really difficult for people to invest, a significant amount of money into something that they're always going to be a little uncertain about. There's no way to be 100% certain,
which they should.
Right. And that's essentially the biggest driving force. Is that's why you take people up through the future pace, because they have to be aroused enough of like, wow, like this could work out for me. This could be great, right? Because you have to squash that limiting belief of they can't even picture it. But then the main driving force that always closes deals is, I mean, what happens if you don't do anything about this? How much longer are you willing to continue living this same exact cycle? What answer am I trying to trigger here, right? That's why I have the training set up the way I do. And honestly, that's why they're so extensive, is just because it's like, anybody can read, a script, right? But the person who does really well and closes deals isn't because they know some fancy word track or they know some objection handle. Like a lot of the stuff you see on Instagram isn't real. Like a lot of people post fake calls and it's fake, right? What actually closes deals is you understand why you're asking the questions you're asking, and you actually understand the person you're speaking with. And once you know that, it really becomes effortless, because the people want what you're selling. And that's why I do the one-on-one coaching, because you can't do that in group coaching with people. There's too many people in the call to actually have personalized conversations, man.
I appreciate that.
Of course, dude.
And that's one of the main reasons behind what sent me in your direction anyway.
Really?
Yeah, because I had 5 or 6 of these. But
really?
I had 5 or 6 of these. That kid Jericho hit it. He hit it.
Yeah, he's real good.
And then we had to have a breakthrough. But then once he found out I was in the car business, and then he told me he started off in the car business, there was an immediate level of understanding between us. And I'm like, wait a minute, this one's it for me.
Yeah. I love car bags. I told you, man. That's why. So it's because I did cars. He's done cars. It's just, it makes killer sales reps, man. Because
it does. And I was trying to test him. I mean, I was testing him. And
yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute, this kid can hang in there. He's trying to slug it out. And I need people like that around me as far as teaching me is concerned, so I can elevate my game.